Hey there you are. Hey, welcome back. This is Truly Remarkable Life, and I'm Craig.
And I'm KJ.
That's right, and we're here to talk to you today a little bit about why we love to travel.
Tonight we're laughing, tonight we're loving, tonight we sparkle, tonight we dance and together we go high.
Yeah, so as you guys all know, we live in St. Louis, and right now there is a huge flood going on around here. So we're like on the city island of St. Louis, and we thought it would be a really good time to make a video about why we like to travel.
Why we like to get off the island. Exactly. Right now it's rainy and dreary the last few days, and so it really brings to mind a lot of our old travel experiences, and we're kind of sitting here going, wouldn't it be nice if we were back in that place on that island
with sunshine?
Right. So I want to tell you a little bit about why I love to travel. I have a philosophy on travel, and it's evolved over the years. I'm in my Florida now. I'm not 25 anymore, and I've started to learn a little bit about how I've changed by traveling. And I know everybody's traveled a little bit somewhere, but it just has an effect on me, a little bit of a different effect on me to be in a new environment, someplace preferably with sun and sand, or someplace with a completely different culture. Even something like New York, one of my favorite places. I've had a lot of really interesting experiences traveling that I never would have had if I was stayed at home or went locally. So I like to challenge myself a little bit with it.
Very cool. Well, and I don't know that I really have a philosophy of travel, but I grew up moving around a lot as a small kid and not really being in one place too long. And after I got older, I like to stay mobile and move around and go see different things. And the one thing that I will say is, when the travel bug bites you, it leaves a scar that itches. And I definitely got bit by the travel bug, and I love to go see new things, and I love to meet new people and experience different cultures, and just see how different people live differently than the way I was raised or the way I experience life in the part of the country that I grew up in. And I think that's really important. It broadens me as a person, and I get to see amazing and different things.
Absolutely. I mean, I had one of the biggest eye-opening experiences I ever had was traveling to New York City. It hasn't been that long ago. It's only been about 8 years ago when I first went there. But I always heard that people were mean and they were rude and it was loud and dirty. And I literally met the nicest people on the street. People just would walk up to you and tell you that something they liked about you. I mean,
or you look like a lost tourist.
Yeah, I had a woman.
Where are you going?
And I thought she was trying to scam me. No, she was literally just trying to be helpful. And I know that's not every experience you're going to have there. I also had a lot of really other culture shock kind of experiences, but I really did meet some of the nicest people that I've probably ever met traveling. So that was an eye-opener, and it was an education for me.
Yeah, New York, I grew up in the South, and I'd always, New York City, and, like the commercials. And, it was just, I'd always shied away and said, I have no desire to go to New York City. And then this one over here said, well, let's go to New York City. I think you'll really like it. And honestly, I felt safer walking the streets of New York at 2 o'clock in the morning. Now we were in Manhattan, okay? I think that makes a difference.
There's constantly people everywhere.
Yeah, there's constantly people everywhere, but I actually felt safer walking the streets at 2 a.m. in Manhattan than I would in some of the little towns and stuff that I knew from where I grew up,
Yeah, and another situation I had was going to San Francisco. And I actually, several years ago, I went by myself and backpacked across the entire city. I just packed a bag with some snacks and some water, and took off walking and took public transportation. Had lunch at little cafes. Went and saw all the sights. Biked along the waterfront. Just amazing experience. You don't get to do that every day, and I'm very fortunate to have been able to do that. But I've also had a job. I had a job that I got to travel a lot, and I was required to travel a lot. At times there was 13 cities in 13 days and that kind of a thing. So I like to joke that I've seen the best office parks in America. But once in a while, I got to extend that trip by a few days, or would have downtime at night, or the flight wouldn't leave until the next day, so I'd have an afternoon or evening free. And I always tried to explore, and there's so much you can do in that short period of time.
Yeah, and I like road trips. I love getting in a car and just going. When I was 21, on a whim, sorry, Mom, I just got in my car one night and I left, and I drove. I drove all the way across Texas and through Arizona, New Mexico, went out to Vegas, saw the Hoover Dam, went to California, and stayed in Berkeley, California for a while with a friend of mine. And got to experience San Francisco and Berkeley, and I slept in the desert on the hood of my car. The sky was on fire. I mean, just the stars. You're away from the city, and it was absolutely beautiful. And I got to see the desert and just some very beautiful parts of the country, and I loved it. And then going back, I crossed the Rocky Mountains from the west to the east, and it was just absolutely stunning. The landscapes of this country are amazing.
Absolutely. I'm not a big world traveler. I would love to get on a plane and just take off and go to Australia, China, every place. I'd love to just visit Europe every month if I could, but I have a friend who does that, and you know who you are.
Uh-huh.
But, I love watching their travels too. But there's so much here that I haven't seen, and that's the part that really excites me, is getting to see the stuff right in my own backyard that I haven't appreciated. And I've been see the shining sea, as they say, and there's still, I could travel every day for the rest of my life and never see it all. That's exciting.
Yeah, it really is. It's amazing. I've lived everywhere from the West Coast to the East Coast, Canada, and traveled all the way down to Central America, and absolutely love it. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm very much a sunshine and beach kind of guy. I love that, but as I get older, I'm garnering a much deeper appreciation of the countryside and those types of things, as opposed to just grabbing a book and sitting on the beach. Not that I stay that immobile very long.
Oh, let me tell you something. I once went on, and I recommend going on a vacation by yourself once in your lifetime. I went to the Dominican Republic for 4 days by myself. I was on a plane with a bunch of Apple Vacation people. I mean, it was last minute. I just grabbed what I could. And it was a cheap deal because there was only one seat left on the plane and they couldn't sell it. So I got it for cheap. And I went to the Dominican Republic and laid on the beach and drank Coco Locos for 4 days. It was amazing. It was transformative. I recommend it.
But, traveling as a couple, or even in a small group can be equally as beneficial.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, don't get me wrong, but I said once. Just once. Do it by yourself. Be alone with yourself.
Yeah. Well, and traveling, in a small group or as a couple or whatever, I've always heard it said that, if you find that one person that you can actually take a road trip with, marry them.
It was amazing. And that's one of the things they look at us and they're like, how did you do it? When we met, he was in Texas and I was here, and I'd actually planned a road trip for a vacation. And I went to several different states throughout the Mid-South, and situation happened. We'll go into that later, but I ended up needing to go to Texas, and that's where I met him. And that road trip, which was a 10-day road trip, really changed my entire life.
Yeah.
Not only did I get to spend some really amazing quality time with some family members, strengthened friendships, But I also met the person I was going to marry. So,
Yeah.
and had no idea at the time.
And the next 3 years had a lot of travel in them.
Long distance relationship between Texas and St.
Back
Louis.
and forth from Dallas to St. Louis, Dallas to St. Louis, back and forth.
And people ask, they're like, how did that happen? How do you do that? It was supposed to happen.
Yeah.
Because the things that needed to happen fell into place. And that's the other piece of travel, I think, is that when there's something that calls you or that you feel like is important, for some reason you can't get it out of your head that you're supposed to go work on a dude ranch for a week or something like that, you need to do it.
Go do it.
Go find a way
Yeah.
to do it. And I think the other part is people talk about not having, it'd be nice, I can't afford it. I understand that. I'm not discounting that because not everyone can afford to travel.
Yeah.
And I was very fortunate to have a job that financed a lot of my travel. But at the
there's
same
also-
time, there's other ways.
Yes, there's a lot of how you travel.
Right.
You know, we have learned a lot of tips and tricks and travel hacks over the years, and
Don't give them away. We're gonna do a video on that.
yeah, that it's
So-
coming. That's a video that's upcoming to help a lot of people. But believe me, we know how to travel on the cheap. You know,
Absolutely.
and I think that's one of the things that is very important. If you have the travel, if the travel bug has bit you, you kind of have to learn how to do it on the cheap. Because if you don't, you can go broke just trying to go and see everything.
Oh, I've slept in motel rooms that the door didn't even lock. I mean, I found myself in places that was very uncomfortable. He has slept on the hood of a car. I mean, you do what you need to do. And not every trip is the Marriott and a resort
Yeah.
and all of that. And sometimes those are the best. Those are the absolute best trips.
Absolutely. Grab a tent and go. Get in your car. I wouldn't recommend sleeping on the hood of your car probably these days, but
You were in the middle of nowhere.
I was in the middle of nowhere. But, there's a lot of options, and we'll go into that in another video. But, this is really just about us and why we like to travel. And we hope that, you guys find this interesting and that maybe some of our enthusiasm kind of rubs off on you and that you'll go and explore and see the world.
So tell them some of the places that you've been.
Oh my gosh. Some of my most memorable trips. I was in the military. I was in the Navy for a couple of years, and one of my favorite places, most memorable places, was Halifax, Nova Scotia, Canada. It was absolutely beautiful. It was amazing. Very Norman Rockwell-ish, if you will. It was beautiful. And another one of my most memorable trips was going to Gatlinburg,
Tennessee.
It was beautiful, and I remember getting up early in the morning, and we got in the truck and drove up to the Smoky Mountains National Park, up to Cades Cove. And
Highly recommended.
yeah, and to watch the sunrise. So it was dark, and we're going up this mountain, and he put on some Celtic music. My family heritage is Scottish, and so we were listening to bagpipes and stuff going up through this mist, and as this mist is rolling in through these beautiful green trees with little brooks, babbling brooks and stuff. It was very, very beautiful.
Absolutely. And that's actually one of my favorite trips, too, is I went to Gatlinburg then, but I also went at a previous time and hiked up the mountain, basically, on one of their trails, and ended up at the top of the mountain at Rainbow Falls was the actual name of it. I think it was a 5-mile round-trip hike, and I fell into the Rainbow Falls. I am not kidding. It happened. Most people jump in and dive and swim. No, I tripped, fell, and just about killed myself. Thank goodness somebody pulled me out. But it's those kind of memories that I have that make things that you think that's going to be the worst trip. It was actually one of the best.
And another one that was absolutely amazing that we took together was we got to go to Puerto Rico. I have a cousin and her family who live in Puerto Rico, and I'd never met her before. And this was about a year and a half, 2 years ago, I guess.
Couple years.
And so we decided to take a trip out to Puerto Rico and travel hacking, and we went out there, and I got to meet my cousin for the very first time, and that was very beautiful, and I love her dearly, and we stay in touch, through social media and stuff. And we actually we're trying to plan another trip out there soon. But while we were out there in Puerto Rico, I'm kind of a sci-fi science geek, and we got to go see the Arecibo Observatory in Puerto Rico, and that was amazing.
If you've seen the movie Contact, you'll know what it is.
Yeah, it was very, very cool, and just a very beautiful place.
Yeah, the culture there is so beautiful, and I got to I turned around, I'm in Old San Juan, and I turn around and I am at the poetry, Poets Corner. Poets Corner or something like that. I can't remember what it is, but it is literally a cafe and a coffee shop that is dedicated to poetry, which I'm a poet. So I was just in awe, and I stood there and I bought way too much stuff. But one of the highlights of my trip was just getting to be in that place, and unexpected surprises, but also meeting the family. And always take advantage of, if you've got family in another city, looks like a trip is planned. Yeah. It needs to be planned there, because and they should do the same for you. Come and show them your city. I love being a tour guide too.
Oh, yeah, you do. You're really good at it.
Yeah.
Come visit St. Louis. He'll take you out and show you everything.
Let's go.
It's awesome. But, sometimes it is it's that turning around and not realizing where you're going.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, out of the blue, you see something like the Poetry Cafe, the Poetry Corner, that really was a highlight. So it's those unexpected moments, that really are the memorable parts of your trip. And the way we like to travel is, we'll go to a destination and not have a lot of pre-plan.
No.
There may be a few things there that we want to see or go do, and sometimes you have to make reservations or book some sort of an excursion if there's something really important that you're wanting to do. But for the most part, we don't really make a lot of plans. We just go and see.
Yeah, there's sometimes you have to plan, you have to make reservations for a tour or something that you want to do, and you have to get on that ahead of time. But just know where you're going, do the research, and then show up and let the experience happen to you. I'll never forget being in New York City, turning a corner, not knowing where I was, coming out of the subway, turning a corner and looking up and realizing that I am in Times Square. Had no idea. Thought I was blocks away, and I turned that corner, and I can still remember just not being able to stop smiling. Yeah, it was awesome.
So I guess that kind of wraps it up. We've been talking for a little while, but we just wanted to share all this with you guys, and get in the comments down below. Tell us, about your travel adventures. Where is it that you like to go, and what's your travel philosophy? Has the travel bug bit you?
What's your favorite place you've ever been? Tell us about it.
Yeah.
So, and stay tuned, because you never know. There may be travel in our future.
And with that, if you haven't already,
go travel to your truly remarkable life.
Bye.
Hey there, if you like what you just saw and want to get to know us better, click the link to our Get to Know Us video. Please subscribe by clicking our logo on the left, and don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Thanks!